Hey everyone, get this mic adjusted. Hey Spencer, how you doing? Oh man, it has been a week. Hey, Tin Can, it's good, it's good. Back to school. So, new semester. We got, I mean, of course, the pandemic is still a thing. It's been a week. I'm currently teaching on top of all the music classes I'm teaching, I'm also teaching a tabletop game class where, I mean, really the kids are coming in and they're playing board games, but hopefully they're getting introduced to board games that they wouldn't have like normally played. Today, you know, teaching them Catan, and the other day actually we played Secret Hitler, and we were talking about like, you know, different types of board games that aren't just like party games and whatnot. So it's been a lot of fun. It's just been a lot of work. So, oh, Trek, hey, thanks for popping in, man. Yeah, I think once I'm done with the Runekeeper, I'm like, unless something is just really like, yeah, you've got to make this happen, right? And I've got like 2 or 3 classes in mind that I'm like, man, these would be really cool if we had it in D&D, right? I'm like, I need to take a good break from D&D design after this thing. This has been an absolute monster to get down. And tonight, what I'm trying to do is, solidify really the need for some of the like narrative beats that I've been kind of hitting with it. We've been talking a lot in the Discord server about some of the layout work on this, and I've been getting some feedback about like some line editing that could be done, I guess we could say, in that it seems like there's parts of these runes that just aren't really super necessary to be included. Let me just show you guys kind of what I mean. Okay. So, from what you guys saw, I think from the last live stream we've had, I know the Discord has been pretty consistent in terms of like what I posted over there for the Runekeeper updates. Some of the subclasses have gotten complete since the last live stream. And I say complete in terms of like, they're done, the ideas are there, and the mechanics will function. But I haven't really done like a balancing pass or anything like that at it. It's mostly just getting the ideas out on paper, making sure that like the playstyle feels cool, like it'll do the thing it's meant to do. And later on, once I actually get some of the runes, you know, written in and everything, I think we'll be able to go from there and see, like, I have really wanted to bring on some heavy hitters on the balancing pass. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these guys that are just super respected in the scene that just aren't really making, they're not really doing TTRPG stuff anymore. One of the guys in particular I wanted to get on this one that I hadn't worked with in the past, but Heavy's told me about so much, was Kame. There's a really cool interview with Kime here on YouTube that you can go check out. But Kame, I'm trying to remember. I don't know, Heavy, if you're out there, let me know how that's pronounced. But Kame is somebody who, like, Mage Hand Press has brought on, who, like, Kobold, I believe Kobold Press has actually hit him up because of his, like, mastery of the system. But I need someone to really look at the magic system and give it a thorough, like, this thing makes sense, it clicks, whatever, and just making sense of, I guess the leveling progression and making sure that things that are like, I want to make sure that the system itself plugs into 5e very well. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that the system doesn't do anything that massively disrupts play. you know? It sounds like a weird thing to say, but like, I want to make sure that there's not a specific combination that can be found, which, and I guess playtest feedback will also kind of show that, because from what I understand, there's already people out there trying to play this, so like, hey, thanks for the interest. But playtest feedback is really going to tell me like the fringe cases in which people have been able to find a specific combination that just destroys this in some way or another. Elvish, I need to figure out what this is even going to be. I know that Esperar is going to be the dialect, but Elvish is probably going to be the language for the runes. And let me talk about why that is. Why I'm thinking that what I need to do is split so many of these apart. It just doesn't really make much sense for all of these to have a tag for the runic language. This is an extra set of, it's an extra metadata tag that just doesn't really need to be in here. And that's what I keep hearing from people. That basically the format that I currently have these in it's clunky. And I don't like that. I don't like the fact that if you're looking at this and thinking of it like a spell, the feedback I've gotten is that some people feel like this right down here becomes a separate rune or something like that, right? There's a little bit of confusion right there that I'd like to figure out if I can eliminate. Some of the different layouts I've been kind of toying with on this thing are like this right here, where this is what I would say is, you're in the group that you think that the language tag needs to stay. I just don't think that it would be necessary if you just do this. If you rename it, like, if I just go, instead of calling everything Dethic and calling these all Dethic runes, Dethic rune, if I just call them Dwarvish runes, I don't really need the language tag. It's just kind of understood. You have to know the language in order to learn the rune, right? So that eliminates the language tag right here, right? Now, the other thing is this item prerequisite, right? I'm fine with it saying prerequisite right here, but I think like this tag for a coin, right? The problem with this is that it's not the way that the Rune Knight did it. And I'm aware that like the Rune Knight has design issues. But like, oh, it would be so cool if it were just customizable like this, where you could inscribe the rune on whatever, right? Like you can touch a number of objects, whatever, and then the object does, you know, your thing. What I've kind of uncovered with this is the Rune Knight starts to break down as soon as you start asking questions like, what happens if somebody else gets this object that I've inscribed the rune on, right? It's a big mechanical flaw of this subclass. You would really like, I think, for narrative to be able to pass these things out and play that kind of like artificer-ish sort of a gish, right? Which can be really cool. Let me catch up with some chat. Metacliff, I will get on to the thing with elves. I will get onto the thing with elves, I promise. Wooden mold earth would be kind of sick, I'm not going to lie. The only thing you lose is a reference to the lore of the game, which I think you could cover. And let me show you what I mean. Because I think it was Spencer that actually came up with this. So rather than saying, like, you know, you have to be the Dethic Runekeeper, and therein you have to learn Dethic runes, and these are, you have to know Dwarvish in order to do this, and yada yada yada. Dethic could instead be your dialect, which I think is kind of cool. Like, the different subclasses being centered around different runic languages, like as a dialect, rather than you, like you have to learn Dwarvish to learn. I feel like the lore was somehow kind of flipped on its head. You know what I mean? Oh, and sorry, I don't know that I'm like, I don't think I'm like sick or anything. I've just had some kind of weird cough. How did I make Sky not as strong as Cloud Rune? Well, first off, let me see here. If I remember right, I felt like it was pretty okay. As long as it was a thing that you have to pick up, learn, and then you can invoke it as a reaction. I think that this is kind of okay. My thing I don't really like straight up, is the flat advantage that it can just dish out, right? Advantage on sleight of hand checks and deception checks while wearing or carrying the object inscribed with Sky. I guess if this is a thing that you have that is a core part of the class, rather than as a part of a subclass that is already dishing out a whole lot of really strong stuff on the fighter kit, I think that this is kind of okay. If I wrote I've even said, because some people have asked, is this going to be compatible with the Rune Knight and Tasha's? Oh, man. There has been a lot of opinions on that one, and, like, whenever I make a claim that, like, well, okay, this thing is way overtuned compared to, like, other fighters, you know, like, I could do a whole mathematical breakdown on the why this thing is probably overtuned compared to something else, but ultimately, like, any endeavors I've really done to do that kind of a mathematical, you know, research, number one, those videos just tend to get, like, not a lot of engagement. And then number two, like, I find that people don't really even listen whenever they've figured out that they like a thing, you know? Like, they're like, well, this is a thing that I want to make work, so it doesn't really matter what you say, we're gonna allow it, right? And I'm like, well, that's fine, I guess. I don't know. There's a few things in the Rune Knight that are gonna get changed. I'm having to design a whole new Rune Knight to kind of work with this system. Reason being, the scaling is pretty thrown off with the Rune Knight. Well, I say scaling. The levels at which you get runes aren't the same. They're not really at the same echelon for what, like, people are kind of discovering now with half-casters that get, like, the half-packed magic kind of a caster thing. Getting that many runes that early is pretty nutso compared to what, like, Warlock can do. So, like, I limited the scaling a little bit more to where, like, this is going to be a little bit smoother gradient, where it's going to be distributed at the same level that Eldritch Knight is going to get their higher level spell slots. So this is you getting access to another rune, and yes, you will eventually get this Master of Runes feature that allows you to invoke them twice between rests rather than once. Oh, man. Hey, how's it going, Thaumaturge? Rune stat block is getting a redesign. We're talking about that. That's what I'm trying to figure out on this stream. Rune Knight seems obviously overtuned. It has a whole feature more than any other fighter at level 3. Yeah, but you've got people that are going to say, well, but Champion Fighter can crit on a 19 or 20. And, it's like, I can ask for common sense. Oh, Spencer, you rock. Okay, yes, I did see your message. Hang on, I will get to that. So it seems overtuned. I think if you're looking at it from, like, comparative balance compared to other fighters, yes, absolutely it is overtuned. Let me actually... Sorry, the alert box was a wee bit tiny on that. I'm still messing with the layout on this one. Rune Knight gets a lot more than other fighters, but it's also kind of hard because, like, people are going to point to fighter and say, well, it's already lacking in so many things, and it's like, no, it's really not. The fighter's super reliable in terms of, like, the damage it can dish out compared to other classes. It's super consistent, right? Like, and it's not really relying on too many resources to do the super consistent thing. Throwing Rune Knight up on top of that is like, I guess you are kind of limited in your flexibility because Eldritch Knight just gets so much good stuff. But if we're going to expand the flexibility of it, I'm probably going to have to cut back on Rune Knight getting as many runes that early as it possibly can, right? But I will be doing a more general kind of a Rune Knight here. My big thing that was really successful in Legends of Frozen Far, and like, am I going to have to design a whole new Rune Knight? Yes, but also no, because I kind of already did it. And let me get to Spencer's question here in just a second, but those of you that have already seen Legends of Frozen Far already know exactly what this is going to be, and this has been, like, very, very, very cool in playtest whenever I've had this go through. But yeah, let me get to Spencer real quick. So, wow, Spencer, thank you. Okay, thank you for the $15. No, sorry for the money spent. Dude, you bring it. You bring it. This stream is officially sponsored by Spencer Jackson. Okay, you were buying my dinner tonight. So Spencer said, okay, but if you ever did Drow Runes and wanted the sign to be sign language, which one involves a sign language, and in 5e, and 2 calls back to the Drow sign language, then removing the tag is bad for that, in my opinion. Makes expansions for homebrew / updates more tough, and limits the potential of what the runes could be. Like, I mean, the palette of what you decide to add on as a runic language is, like, I try to leave it pretty open-ended, right? In terms of, like, do you have to learn sign language for a thing? I think that could be kind of cool for a kind of specific, like, subclass thing, where, and that feels very Thieves' Cant, right? Thieves' Cant needs that kind of, like, you can communicate ideas, like, you know, whatever, which is where I think that Thieves' Cant kind of does this pretty well right in here. It's expanding on what Thieves' Cant as a runic dialect was supposed to be after, like, this, to make it not just like you are a rogue reskin in a way, where I want this to feel like, of course, if you're going to go with the Thieves' Cant one, you're either going to, number one, be multi-classing from rogue, or number two, have a rogue in your party that is, like, you know, a part of this guild, and you are the Runekeeper that is kind of acting as their, you know, guy in a van that's telling them, like, all right, well, like, turn off the cameras here, whatever, you know, right? So I wanted you to feel like you aren't so much a rogue reskin, but you are, like, you are the misdirection to the rogue sleight of hand. Like, if you've ever watched Penn and Teller do, like, a routine, Penn's whole shtick, Penn is not the magician. Penn is actually a juggler, okay? And Juggler's whole thing is about getting your attention and distracting you, right? That's why Teller is silent the entire time he's on stage, except for some gags, right? Teller is supposed to go extremely unnoticed. And Penn, it's why he's basically yelling all the time, right? So, like, I want the Runekeeper for Thieves' Cant to feel like the Penn to the Rogue's Teller. I want the rogue to be the sneak that's, you know, out there doing all the rogue shit, and I want the Runekeeper to be the one that is, like, making sure that it's easier for them to do that, you know? Support a la, like, distraction. I think that that's really cool, right? Distraction, and then maybe shutdown. I'm not super sure. But as far as, like, the Drow Runes go, I haven't really seen a lot of those in, like, in lore, you know? I haven't seen a lot of Drow Runes actually, like, on magic items or anything for 5e. I'm happy to be corrected there and, like, find some later. But I think that that's something that could handle in an expansion, like you were saying, later on down the line. But I'm curious what you mean by, like, you think that eliminating the language tag kind of cuts off some of that? Axiom Delbert, hey, welcome. Following, wait. Following? Is that Twitch? Wait, am I streaming on Twitch? Wait. Did I accidentally start streaming on Twitch? Wait, I have 6 followers over here. What? Why are people following me on Twitch? What's going on? Okay, I don't know what that story's about, but interesting. Huh. I do have a Twitch, I just never really stream over there. I have been flirting with the idea of streaming to YouTube and Twitch because I've been hearing that it's actually like a pretty good idea to do so. Yeah. Because like you're kind of dipping into 2 pools of an audience there. Some people just prefer to watch over on Twitch, you know, whereas some people prefer to watch on YouTube. I personally, I make a little bit more money on YouTube than I would on Twitch. People, like the VODs are already uploaded and all that stuff, so I'm pretty happy with that. But I do, especially whenever, I guess spoilers for whenever this happens, I am going to be doing a bit more like gaming on the channel, and I know that's kind of like the cliche YouTuber thing. You do one thing and then you move on to another, and it's like, oh, well, it's going to be video games, I guess. But I've talked so much about how stoked I am for like the new Souls-like, you know? So I'll be live streaming Elden Ring whenever that comes out. Just because that's going to be... I mean, I've had a lot of fun on these streams, and I appreciate all the feedback and all the people that have been hanging out, especially over Christmas break. So I think that I will kind of continue on and break out from just like get a bit of Smite in there. Oh man, whoo boy. As much as I like Smite, I'm not sure I really want to play in this meta. Yeah. It's been fascinating to watch Smite's like balancing over the last like year. In terms of like, I'm the kind of geek that I like to just look at balance, like, you know, I like to look at change logs for video games to see why they're balancing whatever is going on. Why they're changing a certain thing, what have they discovered, you know. It's just been like a kind of a fun, even games I don't play, like League of Legends or whatever, it's been fun to see like the patch notes to see why a thing needed to get changed. Smite, man, has had a weird, wacky year. Yeah. Thaumatarch, hey, thanks so much for popping in. But yeah, I want to do a bit more gaming stuff, but I mean, I've been trying to figure that out. Yeah. Anyways, I really wish, actually, what would have been super fun, Amanda has never played a Final Fantasy in her life, and I really wanted to get her into the series, but her problem is like, it just seems like, it seems like information overload whenever a game is throwing a lot of fluff at you real quick into like how to play the game. So like the combat system and everything seems, hey Benjamin, how's it going, man? It seems like with Final Fantasy X, it was a really cool intro to like kind of get her into the series and see what it's about, because she started to actually really like the combat system. But Christ, the first night that she and I were playing it together, she had some of the funniest reactions I've ever seen to like some of the stuff in that game. There was like so in Final Fantasy X, whenever you get into combat, there's like a glass break effect, and it's like, and then you're like into the combat. And the first time it happened, she was like, "Oh my god, I thought your Switch just exploded." And so, like, it almost became like a horror game. Like, we were just expecting the random encounter, like, glass shatter to happen. And yeah, it was super fun. You're doing laundry and listening to... Hey, glad to have you. Oh, Blitzball is one of the best mini games in any video game ever, ever, ever. I love Blitzball. It's weird how, like... Final Fantasy's mini games have been super iconic. Triple Triad from... Final Fantasy VIII is, in my opinion, at times better than Final Fantasy VIII. Like, Triple Triad, if you... Early on, Triple Triad is super cool, but, like, as soon as you just get the mecha overpowered cards, there's just no challenge in it, right? So, like, what's more fun is to get the, like, you know, a good, healthy mix of, like, 7, 9, maybe an ace here or there, and just challenge people that way rather than like, I'm gonna get all the super OP cards and just win everything, right? Like, it's, like I said, once you remove the challenge of that, yeah. Cool. Voice of Cards. Actually, there's a super sick game I found the other day. Let me show you guys. Yeah, you can see Smite. Yeah, 2,000 hours. Let me find this real quick. Oh my god. If you guys haven't played Inscription yet, like, okay, it's a bit of a horror game. Like, I mean, it is a horror game, but the card game within Inscription is so good. This is so good. I wanted to just do, I think, like, I mean, Markiplier is already doing a live stream of this, but holy hell, it's been a while since I've been, like, addicted to a video game. Like, really been able to sit down and get engaged with a video game for, like, multiple hours. This is, holy shit. Devolver may have become like my favorite developer because of Inscription now. Inscription, and there was another game I got this bundled with, Death's Door. Playing through both of these, I'm like, this studio has the right idea right now. This is like just the right flavor of horror for me. I adore Inscription. It'd be interesting to see if they can possibly adapt this to a physical card game, because it's pretty simple, just like Magic the Gathering type rules. You know, you have attack and toughness, or whatever it is, offense and toughness or whatever. Very, very simple in terms of its like play and everything, but it is crazy how addictive this game is. Yeah, Devolver's I think that's what I said. This is, yeah, I can't praise this game enough. I would love, if it was around October, I would for sure just be live streaming this, because holy, oh man. Yeah, definitely check out Inscription if you haven't yet. Anyways. Oh wait, they have a new roguelike coming out? Cult of the Lamb? Alright, hang on. Is this going to be like a React stream? Oh, wait. Alright. Alright. Hang on one sec. We'll get onto the Runekeeper, but like, this... Devolver has had like all of my attention. Like, for real. Inscription is so good. Darkest Dungeon is also amazing. I know Benjamin's a big fan of Darkest Dungeon too. Let me see. Can I do that? Okay. Boom. Okay. Oh, it looks like runes. This looks so much like Root. sick! Kind of like a Don't Starve aesthetic. Okay. So it looks like Binding of Isaac and like Roots art style. Binding of Isaac, like Roots art style are... Oh yeah, they're going as always. We got on to talking about different card games, but yeah. Oh man. I have been... Because Devolver does that right mix of like grim with like... They do grim in a way that isn't like too like drowned in it, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like they're trying too hard to be grim. Yeah, it looks a lot like the art of Kyle Farron, who is a guy that does the work for Root. Kyle's art style is so... Oh, man. Yeah. Like, it's so unique, but it still evokes the, like, fantasy vibe. If you haven't played Root, it's a great board game. It's a little complicated to get into. Yeah, see, I could just... If I could just get Kyle Farron on all my projects, I would so... Oh, man. His look is the kind of look that I wish I could get on, like, my TTRPG stuff. If you saw, like, the art... Oh, yeah, see, like... Oh, this is so sick. It's the right kind of mix of like cartoony and like I guess you can see the kind of like Brian O'Malley sort of influence in it in a way. All the Scott Pilgrim, you know. Yeah, all the artwork for Oath. There's a new one that they're doing called like the Void Lich. Yeah. I like zero information on this game other than a title and like, you know, Void Lich and then this little preview right here, but like I don't know what it is, but I immediately want it. It's just because like if Kyle Farron's attached to it, I want it for the artwork alone. Like, oh, it's so good. But yeah, Cult of the Lamb, I definitely want to check that one out. Okay, so there has been some talk in chat. Oh, let me make sure that the desktop audio is not super loud. There we go. Okay. So, yeah, Blade Lock starting a cult out like. Okay, so you all were talking about. Where was it? The highest rated. Oh, a Blitz. Oh, Blitzball S Gladiator. See, I thought it would be so funny. You know, like, I love Waka in Final Fantasy X. Waka is such a funny and interesting character. For like, I mean, Waka is the debuffer. Waka is supposed to be like a ranged debuffer, right? You can think of Waka as like the ranger in their party, you know. Even though 5e's Ranger isn't totally a debuffer, it has some control, but anyways. So, Waka's side of the sphere grid is all about, like, shutdown and whatever. But he fights with a goddamn blitzball. So, like, it's a goofy concept, but part of me is also like, you know, an athlete class, or like an athlete subclass for fighter. Ooh, like, oh man, I love that. Yeah, Waka stubs his toe and blames the Albed. Waka has such a great arc too. Like, man, yeah. But I thought it could be kind of cool to have like a fighter that does something that silly. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna fight with sports balls or whatever. Okay, if you want a beholder of Mind Flayer runes, which yes, I definitely do want to do at some point. Deep speech runes, yes, I agree. Undercommon, all that stuff, I think definitely needs to be a thing in the future. But I think by doing this, I'm actually kind of opening that up. To where once you learn Undercommon, you can learn Undercommon runes, right? The problem is the system I've designed is so open-ended, you know? The system I've designed is like, if I don't limit the scope here in some way, then I could just design these out infinitely. It's something that I had talked with that arena guy about. That arena guy, he posts over on Reddit pretty often, but he's actually well established in his own right. Where's he at? Yeah, Spectre Creations. Let me post him up over here. Heavy actually introduced me to this guy. But Spectre is actually doing his own, like, rune system. Nothing, well, I say nothing. You can see mechanically that it's similar. But the runes that he's creating are more like magic items, and mine are like tied into a class. But that, the arena guy, we have been kind of going back and forth about, like, because I had asked him if he would be interested in getting onto this project, and he was, but we got like licensing stuff that we don't. He wants to do his runes separate as a thing, like in his own book, which if he published them on the DMs Guild, we weren't sure about licensing on that. And it just, we weren't able to really figure out logistics on that. His layout is very fancy, but very smart dude. And one of the talks that we had earlier on this month, we got, you know, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be done with this thing. I don't know. I can't feel a sense of where the finish line is at, because I feel like I've made a system that can just go on forever, right? And he was like, yeah, I'm kind of in the same spot with where I'm at. And I think that without saying this thing needs to release with like a base set of like 20 to 25 runes per language, I would never stop working on this thing, and it would never get released, and it would just sit here as an InDesign document rotting away, you know? So I need to limit it. I really need to limit it. So I think in the future, as like, maybe when it goes silver or whatever, I can look at expanding onto it and making another thing. The stretch goals that I did with the merchant were pretty cool, but I wasn't expecting Ted over on Nerd Immersion to literally call it his second favorite homebrew class. So that made it go gold like overnight. And then I was like, oh crap, I have a bunch of stretch goals to fill, and I just started this semester. What do I do? Oh, you gotta go play AFA. Hey, it was good to have you, Benjamin. Good luck with all that. Thanks for popping in, man. So, you know, the stretch goals are cool, but you never know, like, who might pick up on your product. And if it got another, like, Nerd Immersion bump like that, then it would probably sell, like, 500 copies in a night. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I have the data to back that up. Like, Ted has no idea. Well, no, I mean, he probably has some idea of the kind of influence he has, but you can usually predict that a YouTuber will, if a YouTuber promotes your product, you can probably depend on about like 1% of their audience going over and buying the thing, right? So for Ted, 1% of his audience was like 500 to 700 people. So like the merchant went from, you know, silver bestseller to suddenly like gold in 24 hours. And I was like, I guess I've got work to do, huh? So like doing stretch goals is kind of a cool thing, but I just don't want it to ever be the thing where like I'm doing stretch goals and people get upset about like, well, I bought the thing, so why haven't you designed this yet? You know, I feel like that kind of expectation is, it's a stressor that I don't want to, like, I don't want to give myself a cause for anxiety. If I expand on it, then I want it to be a natural thing, you know? But for sure, whenever I get done with the Runekeeper, I want to be sure that, like, you know, it's a thing that I can let sit out there in the wild for like a year before I come back to it. It needs the balancing passes, I'm sure, after it goes through playtest feedback, but like, you know, I need to give myself time to breathe. That's for sure. Yeah. So limiting the scope on this one is going to be crucial. And I think that I don't need to add another language for right now, because I'm already considering I may need to split off Fiendish into Infernal and Abyssal. Reason being, Fiendish runes were separated by, like, if you knew Abyssal, then it was assumed that you were like kind of a demon, so you were learning demonic runes, right? And you couldn't learn some of the runes that said law and whatever. So I think that the better move here is to actually just split the two apart, and then like if you don't take Abyssal, you can't get it. Bam, there. Like that's simple, right? If you want to go with like a really like devil aligned kind of a character, then you go Infernal, right? And then forego Abyssal if you want that flavor, rather than it being something that's so core and baked into the class. So what that means is that Fiendish is most likely, it might be okay. Like, it might be okay to leave it as is, but like I'll have to clean some stuff up in here just to make it to where it's like, okay, you're now, yeah. So easiest thing for right now is most likely just to start clipping these. Boop. Put it up here. That is an Infernal rune because it came from a demon or a devil. And some of these I was like, cool, it would be, I just need to do this. And then once I figure out how I want to format the languages, then I'll come back up here and fix that. Claw came from a demon. McKeat came from a devil. Greed comes from a devil. Devil. I guess devil. It doesn't have chaos associated with it. Is there any of them? Law, chaos. And then there's Quaffix. And I think that this actually mechanically does the same thing that I had originally written, but it's just cleaner and it removes the need for metadata tags. Because like what we're really doing is line editing now. We're trying to figure out what we can remove. And I think that like a lot of people have said that they thought that this runic paradigm page was really cool, and it was cool for helping me figure out the nature of all these different runes. I can actually now get rid of some of these tags. Associated language. Like, this is going to become its own thing. So if you guys have questions about anything I've written in here so far, let me know. because I want to make sure with these streams that I'm also getting onto the questions that you guys might have. If there's something that I missed, just draw attention to it and I'll try and find it. But this stream, I'm mostly trying to get you all's opinions on how you think that the layout is going to, or how you think the layout should best look. So as a part of that, let me see here, 27. This is what I'm contemplating. Let me get this over here. I need to figure out what the best, most pleasing version of each of the runes layouts is going to be. So let's just start with Findar. Okay. I think this was... Wait, Spencer, didn't you write this one? Or was it someone else in the Discord? Hey, Tyler, how's it going? Actually, I need one with a prerequisite. Let's just say... Sure, I don't know. You think someone else did Findar? Okay. Let me zoom up. Not all prerequisites. Because that's been consistent. Prerequisites are consistent no matter where you kind of look at it for this kind of a system. Where's that metadata? There we go. Okay, so I've heard... This is the old way I had it. Let me just bring that back up, okay? And then... and then I've even heard... okay, so there. Inline subheader, there we go. Now, and this might be the kind of thing that I post over on Twitter to see what people think about that. Something like that, or okay. So, chat. These are the 4 layouts that I'm considering. Let me see here. Oh, where'd I go? Nope, where'd chat go? Hey, there you all are. Okay. These are the 4 layouts I've been considering, right? Like, trying to figure out which one of these 4 to go with. Because over on the left, it looks more like a spell, but I've also had people say that they think that that looks really cluttered, and they've had a hard time distinguishing where the rune starts and where the rune ends. Can I do this? Hang on. Is that going to get all of that? Let me do this. Let me move that down. Chat. You come with me. We're expanding. Oh, no, not that. Move that back. Okay. There we go. All but one stream has been while I'm here working, so this is mostly audio for me. Can I send the layouts in Braille? So, opinions. Anybody? Because, like, I am not totally sure what to go with on this. Actually, wait. Is heavy around? You think it's pretty clear where the rune ends? That has been my pushback. Is I'm like, the bottom left is the way that I have it right now. The only problem with that is it's not the way that they look over in Tasha's. Like, the way that Artificer has the way that Artificer has the items in Tasha's is actually like this right here. It ends where the clearly labeled name of the next rune begins. Right, like, and see, this has been kind of frustrating me too, because I'm like, I don't really know. I don't really know how it was confusing. I'm just going off of the feedback I received, you know. The feedback that I got was that people felt like this effect right here was a different rune than this up here. And I'm like, but how? I don't... Whenever a spell has a break, I don't really understand why you think it's another spell? I guess... I'm just saying, like, I view the... I take the feedback and I try to make sure that, like, the UI or the user experience is all pretty clear, right? I want to make sure that whenever people pick it up and play it, it makes sense. There's even a big faux language sticker to demarcate it. Yeah, oh. You mean the little art over here? Breaks up the regular text. You like top left, but it's more in line with 5E's up, right? Okay, so Creepy Doc Man has the point that... Hey, King T, how's it going? So... What Creepy Doc Man is saying is something that I understand where you're coming from. What Creepy Doc Man is saying is something like this. And then so the feedback I got on this one, I think it was Ross that told me that this was kind of throwing him off, and that it says invoking time, and then the effect that happens after that isn't tied into the invoking time, which I have to agree. It feels like the overall HTML, like the overall code of this, feels a little flop-sided. Yeah, it's a little confusing as to what's the invoked and what's the passive, right? So what else I can do But this looks real bad. There we go. Right? I hate how this looks. Technically doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Apparently. But like, God, this looks so bad. This distinguishes what the passive is and what the like invoked effect is. But I feel like how the Mystic playtests do. Wait, the Mystic Unearthed Arcana? What do you mean? Flip the invoked and passive. You're going to be referencing the passive much more than you're going to be referencing the when invoked effect, because the passive is always going to be on for you. The Mystic, was it Unearthed Arcana? Was it in the talents or something? Okay. Their structure very similar to the yeah, but the disciplines don't require an item, and it doesn't seem like they require a prerequisite. If it's clearly labeled at the bottom, it's an easy reference. Well, I mean, sure, but like, I'm hung up on that. I feel like some people would think that like if the passive is only like, I'm just trying to make it to where people can't possibly misinterpret it, you know? Like, I guess it makes sense that, like, you could say when invoked, boom, right there. But, like, oh man, the formatting would just look like a nightmare. Are there raw feats/abilities that have passive and actives that you can pull inspiration from? The only thing that I can think of that does something similar to it, and it's not even really similar. Let me get back over here. Where are we at? Display. Boom. There we go. The problem is that no matter what, someone's going to misinterpret it. And sure, like, people screw up the rules to D&D all the time, even though, like, you know. But I can try and find at least the version of it that feels the most pleasing to look at, you know. So Artificer does something really similar with the magical infusions, and that's what I've been going off of. I wonder, because like I'm kind of mixing the formatting that they do for spells with the formatting that they're doing for like infusions, right? Is the trick hang on. Oh, speaking of Devolver, there's Loop Hero music. Is that the trick? Does that look good? I don't know why, I'm just not a fan of that. Dormant invoked. Well, Dormant, thanks, Tyler. I appreciate it. Yeah, I did 3 years of my. I did 3 years in college as a graphic designer. Layout work is an art, and I'm a very unhappy artist right now. What is this? What is the trick here? Yeah, dormant implies it's not doing anything. There is, like, you can say latent, but, like... Oh, God, that looks terrible. Wait, why'd you do that? No, no. Here we go. No. This right here does everything that any kind of text I would put in front of that would do. Part of me thinks that... Oh, man. And I'm sorry about coughing into the mic. Yeah. Part of me thinks, like... Okay, it sounds harsh. But I think it just needs to be said, because I need to externalize this. I can't idiot-proof everything. I can't idiot-proof it. From what I've been able to tell, the majority of people who have looked at this understand that this right here makes sense. They understand what this does. Yeah, like, at some point, like, you can only design a stop sign to be so good, right? A stop sign does one purpose, and that doesn't mean that people are always going to listen to it or follow the directions of the stop sign, right? You can only go so far into design work where you're like, I want to make this as pleasing as possible. But at some tables, someone is going to look at it and just see, like, oh, invoking time. What does that mean? What do you mean this homebrew class that I decided to roll up, whatever. Part of what I thought was so cool and really, like, what I liked with the dancer was that that class feels very easy to hop in and pilot. Whoop! Everything kind of makes sense with it, except for there's one hang-up about the dancer that has been driving me crazy, and I don't know how to clean that up. And it's the fact that whenever you perform a flare, you can move as a part of the action. It's not you're using your movement, you're not expending the movement, whatever. And I put, like, I have two subheaders, or 2 sidebars in there. I have 3 different sections that are talking about that movement occurs as a part of the action, not like they get to use their whatever. No, it's like, it readjusts where the movement is happening on your turn, and there are other mechanics that build off of that, right? It's not movement as a separate thing, it's movement as a part of the action. But no matter how many times I try to clarify that, people misinterpret it. So, like, all you need is at least half the players to understand the stop sign. They do use their speed. They use their speed as a part of that. And speed is a unit of something, right? Speed is a resource that you get in D&D. Movement is technically a part of your turn. and it is adjusting the movement part of your turn to occur during an action, reaction, or bonus action. Because of that, that's why whenever you perform a flare and you move, and opportunity attacks have disadvantage against you, right? Because if it was just general advantage, or opportunity attacks have disadvantage against you, that would be pretty unpleasing for narrative. And honestly, probably just too ridiculously good to not multi-class dip into. 5e and RPGs in general are far from idiot-proof, but I think anyone who can grasp 5e can grasp most homebrew. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Area of effect and duration are defined before the flavor text. Sure, they define variables before they're called. Right. What I'm not happy with is this idea right here. In that you're defining the variable before an effect that doesn't pertain to the variable. Not to be blunt, but it seems simple to you. Well, I want to make sure that I mean the feedback that people send me, that it's like, no, this seems good and cool and I understand it and everything, is nice to hear. But it's the people that say, like, this seems confusing to me, that make me think, okay, what can I do? Like, how can I make it a little bit more, how can I make it just real easy to understand what's going on here? I have to consider that maybe something might not be telling the story correctly, right? Or it could just be that that person didn't actually read the document and they skimmed over it and they think like, oh, okay, well, this doesn't make any sense, you know? Maybe put the passive effect at the end. It can't. You're going to be referencing the passive more than you are the invoked effect. This is the second coming of the third resurrection of my coming back here to watch your stream. You can't make me miss your stream. Oh man, it's good to see you, John. I think that this makes sense. I can't think of anything that I can include in here to clarify this any further than what I already have. And like, there has to come a moment where I just say, it does make sense. Have two columns of text side by side. Oh, good God, no. I hate the fact that you even made me contemplate, like, wait, does that make... You made me think of work. You made me think about doing more work. Shame. Shame. Let me look at something real quick. So they did... Cancel. Where was it? Okay. Spencer, thank you so much for the $5 again, man. Is it okay if you show an example pic of the language tag in the... Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Ardent. The Ardent was like a psionic class, wasn't it? Ardent Paragon Paths. Where is it? Battle Mind. The class is in 3 point or 3rd edition or whatever 4th edition. Some of them just I don't really get the fluff. Scion. Okay. See, they kept doing all this like special. Hey, Zandy, how are you doing? Actually, you'd probably be a lot of help on this one. I am trying, because you've helped out with some line editing in the past. Zandy, you tell me, does this look presentable? If you saw this in a format, you tell me you tell me if it makes sense. There's 2 blocks of text that are big and important in here, okay? This is the passive of the rune. This is the invoked effect. Upon your first read, like, of this, do you think that whenever you're first looking at this, that's clear? Because otherwise I'm like, am I going to have to put like a big dumb... that, and then... oh, that just looks terrible. Zebran, hey, welcome. You're just saying to finish this in DM prep? Oh, cool. Differently with a background box. Oh, God, no. Underline it. Nah, coloring it's gonna add a whole mess of work, and I think it's gonna make it look blah. Hey, Ted Kramer, how you doing? Maybe call it quiescent, which means dormant or inert, and take advantage of the fact that the word doesn't have as much connotation in games already. The order looks off to you. Really? Phil! How are you doing, Phil? What do you mean on the order? Well, inert has a specific mechanic in here. Inert means that the rune cannot be invoked anymore. I am debating, let me do this again. Where was it? Where are you guys at? Boom. All right. Phil, everybody. I'm trying to figure out a layout to go with, stick to, and make for the runes going forward. Also, oh man, this is going to be the key to finishing this class right here, is making sure that the layout for every single one of the core runes makes sense without invoking this rune blank. See, but I kind of like spell layout here. I kind of like the fact that spell layout is boom, 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 like, it's just, I don't think there's ever been another instance in this game of something having two effects that are broken apart, right? Dead or empty. Yeah, spell layout's a lot more recognizable. That's the big advantage I'm going to have here, is the fact that, like, people are going to look at it and say, oh, here we go. No, as far as I know, there's no spells that currently do what any of the runes do. Oh, why is everyone saying passive last? Why? Okay, what that's gonna do is make people, and because I'm not saying that in like you're wrong. I don't mean to have that kind of a tone to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, people are going to reference the upper portion much more than the portion afterwards. And if you put the passive after it, the passive should always come up on top, because the passive is always going to be on. It's kind of like, okay, whenever you cast a spell, you aren't always going to cast a spell at a higher level. So that's why that text comes later, right? It's like there's an order to the information that needs to be pretty clear. Yeah, passive blast would kind of throw a wrench in it. Well, okay, so you want to know how to activate the thing first. You inscribe it, and just by mere fact of you inscribing it, it provides its passive. So that's why I can inscribe the rune, and I don't have to invoke it yet. Yes, exactly. Okay, mini NE's got it. Yeah, the more conditional effects are always later in the order of infrequency. I mean, sure, but like, it's basically like you're getting a perk and then you're getting a spell, is the way that I'm looking at it. When invoked in bold text, like it, well, so I have that over here, and or like, oh, man, when invoked sounds weird. Maybe like, I don't know that I like that either. So, yeah, the presentation is a huge ordeal, though. You know, you want to make sure that the package is pretty, right? Because if I just do like, oh god, no, I don't even want to think about putting metadata tags on that, or inline subheaders. Like, when invoked and then have the text after that? You think the issue for me in the first layout is the broken up header info? Spells have all that in one place. I think you can still do that for the invoked effect version. And I think that I could. Broken up header info. So you're talking like the fact that this is broken up. And I agree with you that I'm not a big fan of that. That makes it look more cluttered and clunky. I agree with you. I do agree with you. And that, like, I don't like this, but I feel like there's a need for it. But I can probably clip down and just do this. What did Ross not like specifically about that? Hang on. Let me look at Ross's feedback on that. What do you say? Sorry, I'm scrolling up because Ross and I have been talking about this for a little while. That was layout work. Is this it? Yeah, he didn't like the formatting because... Why? Some have static effects while others don't, or maybe they all do, but I can't tell because the ordering of static effects in the invoking time section are so confusingly ordered. He was critiquing this version of it right here. Okay. So... Okay. I think that's okay. Hey, Phil. What'd you do? When invoked. You're saying to add a space after it? Okay, so here's Phil's suggestion. Probably a little bit more than that, I would assume. The reason I'm not a big fan of this is it now breaks up... It feels like this is breaking up the information here. Let me scroll down. Spencer said... Layout with the tag, the bottom two have the layout without the tag. Top two with the tag, item, coin. I'm not sure I see... Okay, disregard. Right. Runic family, you guess? But with the bottom by having the language tag and the writing under the word. Okay, I see what you mean. I feel like that's creating an unnecessary, yeah, I feel like that would, this is Dispenser, I feel like that would create an unnecessary, how do I put it? It's adding in an unnecessary distinction that, like, in the future, if it needed to get that kind of an expansion, then I think that it could be done by making a specific runic dialect for, like, Duergar, and the Duergar subclass is the one that also gets Dwarvish runes, and then you could say that, like, Prerequisite up here, third level Duergar, something like that, right? So you could restrict it in that way, but I feel like those would be, like, kind of niche, especially because I think Duergar speak Dwarvish, so, like, you know, yeah, there is a distinction between the two. There is a distinction between the two, but I feel like something like an Undercommon or like an Underdark expansion on runes would just be a little bit more helpful on that, you know? Let me see here. Okay. Let me look here. Oh boy, check out real active real quick. Okay, while inscribed, passive effect. When invoked, active effect. Yes, King T. Paragraph 1, passive. Paragraph 2, when this rune is invoked, yes. Phil said... Oh, Metacliff, because this isn't... We're not casting it in two separate ways. We're, It's not casting it in two separate ways. It's literally providing an effect that is always on, and then an effect that you can do temporarily. Plant growth... Yeah, plant growth is just affected differently. By the terrain, right? If you cast a spell over 8 hours, you enrich the land. Yeah, if you... So I guess you can say if you invoke this rune, or you can invoke this rune as a reaction, whatever. I guess to me, I like to break the information down and have it really clear, you know, in different sections. So, like, whenever I thought about having these runes as, like, this felt bad. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm not happy with that. It feels like the information is not as well organized whenever you do this, you know? Okay, so Zany said, as a thought experiment, you can think of where you put the text on a spell for if it had an effect or was being prepared. Where you would put the text on a spell for if it had an effect for being prepared. What? Who just done? Axiom. Thanks so much for the 25 PLN. Thank you. I'm not sure how much that is, but I appreciate it. It's 2 a.m. here. By the way, the runes remind you of the CYOA sorcery books. It looks... Oh, hey, thank you so much for popping in. I'm glad you're excited for it. Yeah, okay, Robotic Mage has got my idea, right? I don't want key information that you're going to have to be referencing hidden in the paragraph, right? That is... Wait, oh crap. Remove the indent. Okay, so Phil said... Separate passive from invoked with a blank. Wait. Separate passive from invoked with a blank line. Remove the indent, keep the bold. You're saying to do this. Which yeah, I'm not a fan of that one either because it doesn't really solve the issue of some of the important stuff is still hidden within the paragraph. You know what I mean? What if you took out when invoked and just had invoke Findar as a reaction as that first paragraph? So basically, specify action/reaction in the first set of words. Okay, Rune Knight. Alright, Rune Knight. Did I really just design myself back to the point of the Rune Knight? Because that's exactly the way Rune Knight is formatted. Alright, I'm pulling this over here for a second. Hang on. I gotta look at something I don't think we're supposed to have. Okay. Man. The layout in Tasha's also just looks ugly. At least on that part, like for the Artificer infusions. Yeah, it could match, sure, but like... if it's only slightly broke, don't fix it. Yeah, I mean, it would be consistent with source material. How do I format the dancer flares? Why am I having the hardest time opening this? Okay. They looked like... Whoop. Oh, I just realized. Wait. There we go. I just formatted them like this. I mean, they look like cantrips, you know? But the fact of the matter is, it's still, like, the flare is a thing you do with an action or a reaction. It doesn't provide a passive benefit. Why match it to material that we know isn't balanced the best? I mean... I'm not... I'm more so just trying to figure out what's going to work to convey the information in a way that looks decent, you know what I mean? The arcane runes are so few in number that it isn't important. Yeah, that's my thing. I mean, Robotic Raven Mage is basically saying everything I'm thinking. The Rune Knight also doesn't really lay itself out very well. I don't want to really match it to the Rune Knight because I think that the Rune Knight also failed to convey the information well. You are big brain. Good big brain. Hey Camus, how you doing? Okay. So, like, you can invoke it as a reaction when a creature within 30 feet of you. Yeah, some of the passives do. Oh, god damn it. Alright. So, how do I do this? Pretty good. How are my holidays? I just hung out and worked on this thing. Tried to get more of this done. Passive blast seemed better. Okay, so order of information needs to be passive has to be up on top. That's the order of information. It's the way that they did it for the Rune Knight. If that pertinent information that you're going to reference more often needs to be up top. Headers are for things that vary between runes. Paragraphs are, right. That vary, what? Okay. Oh man, what is the thing? What's the trick here? Yeah. No, I mean, the thing you would reference more is the active effect. The passive effect is always going to be on. It is always going to be on. Therein, it has to come first. It has to come first. Yeah, you get a lot of duplicated text, and the point of this is to make it clean. So, all right. So I'm curious. All right, let me get chat's opinion on one thing real quick before I move forward on this. A or B? A or B? 2 columns. If you make me do more layout work, Phil, I will choke you. I will eat your soul. A? And to be clear, we're just talking about the top 2, the header and the subheader, not header, subheader, and all the other stuff. I just want header, subheader. A, B, 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 A. What? Oh, God, we have a tie. No, chat, you're supposed to solve my problems. Solve them. Solve problems. Quit making... Yeah, it was based off of the schools of magic under spells. A? A? Really? Okay, so it's pretty clear there's an even divide There is no clear winner here. Well, voting on the layout, either the top one, which is A, or this one, which is B. If people saying A makes me feel like it's a bad decision, maybe it's not A. But, I mean, fair. Fair. Okay, here's how I know that everyone that said A is wrong. Because the line widths match. The line widths. If you look, guys, here's how I know B is the right answer. See how this is all boxed in and it's all like, ooh, yeah, nice and even. Ooh, that looks pretty. However, if I go up here and do that, it's not all even. And the eye is going to go, there's something funky there. This looks gross. It's like old moldy stew. So I think it can't be separate. It will, yes, it does. It does match for other languages. I put the time in to make sure that that was a thing. It is consistent across all the different languages. Druidic is a weird one, because I haven't completed that language yet, so don't worry about that. But you'll see it's consistent across all of them. Elvish is a different case because it has a very frilly kind of a... But the baseline, the bottom of the letters and the top of the letters will match up. Elvish might need a little bit of work, but yes, that was a... Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. So that solves the thing. You have to know the rune's language to learn the rune. Boom. If people see this and they're like, "Well, what's its language?" I am just going to I don't even know what. Ooh. And that's fine, Spencer. You can do that. Just that's fine. Okay. Now, here's the other question. Metadata tags. Are they necessary? Or how does it need to look? Because it can be a few different ways, okay? Here's what I mean by metadata. Metadata is anything that is like, if you need information that you're referring to that shouldn't be hidden away in a paragraph, like Robotic Raven Mage said, it needs a metadata tag. Okay, so like one reaction, whatever. I've been thinking I need to pull from the Artificer for the prerequisites in the item thing, because that's how it works out in the infusions. And then slipping over here to the metadata for whenever you invoke it, because then this feels like spell, right? Bold looks better because it separates the variable type from the variable itself. How so? What? What? I'm curious. What do you mean? And I need food. Chat, what am I eating tonight? Pasta? I already ate a banana today. Mexican food doesn't sound bad. Ramen? Beer is nice food. The bold makes it stick out, but I don't know that it sticking out is super necessary. I think we can all pretty much agree that this look in particular is just a failure. So that one's going away. An entire French horn. Tin can. Nice. Cheese. Mexican ramen. In the spirit of Rune's alphabet soup. That's cute. 2 Red Bulls in a Slim Jim. Breakfast of Champions. You know, you can get away with that whenever you're in college, but like, whenever you're in your 30s, well, your body does not know what to do with processed meat like that. The metadata, meta tags. The specific rune doesn't need it, then it doesn't need it. If it doesn't... Right. And it won't be written in. And it won't be written in. What I'm curious about is like... What's the better route to go? Hang on. It does look pretty. Bold looks pretty, which is why I had initially written it like that. Invoking time. This is basically how I have it written right now. Like... It makes it easier to find the important information, right? But you don't need to constantly be referencing the prerequisite in the item. The important information is this stuff right in here. This is the stuff that you're going to be looking at for like, how do I know how to actively use this thing? So that might be the argument. You think anything followed by a colon should be bold? Well, like, even looking back to, the player's handbook didn't format it this way. Yeah, like, I understand, for everyone that's saying, like, passive should come afterwards, okay? I understand what you're saying. I understand. I gotcha, but I disagree, and I'm just gonna have to say I disagree. And I'm gonna have to go with my gut on this one. Yeah, Warlock Invocations don't have boldface for prerequisites. Exactly. I don't think invoking time and duration need to go up top. Because I think that's going to cause some confusion. Do I have like a UI expert anywhere? Because I am far from it. I mean, I'm pretty good with UI UX. But oh man, it was not my specialty. Yeah, I think they're gonna be in italics. I think the only reason I don't like it is because this is also in italics. Oh god, no. Go back. Jesus. It's the weirdness, right? Of like, you have something in italics, and I guess the fact that it is all a part of like this big bulky block up here makes it feel different. If you find it, call your wife in and pretend you're asking. Your what? But after you have discerned it, I don't know that it's relevant every time that you go to look at the rune. Or what I could do, and here's something. Remove the language and meaning. I absolutely do have to have that info. Because that's the way that some runes are going to scale. Was in italics and bold. We just don't have a formatting that's really like that. Like that. Yeah, we don't really have any formatting that's quite like that. Do I have another font I could use instead of italics? Not that fits within the 5e look. Yeah, the language and translation plays into the entire upcasting system that I built. Because as you learn more runes that translate to that same word or that come from the same runic language, they can be upcast. Yeah, other thing I can do. Jeez, I'm sorry. Other thing I can do, which would be... I'm curious if there's not a way I could do this. And make it to where no rune requires... And like, runes can be inscribed on literally any object. While we might think that this is fun, I don't know what it's adding to the game. Like, legitimately, if you look at material components, those are kept in there as a balancing measure. And like... You could do, just don't worry about the items. That... Yeah, but no. Actually, because of Artificer. Artificer infusions call for an item. Spells specify an item because usually, like, if the moment you look at Revivify, it makes sense why they call for items. Material components are a balancing measure. Yeah, +1 bucket of smiting. Awesome Soul, hey, how are you doing? It's good. We're just hitting a moment of... It's a brick wall with this class. And how are the runes supposed to be laid out? It's supposed to be, how is it pleasing to see this and know from first glance, bam, I get all the information I need. Doing that and seeing pretty clearly that chat has mixed opinions, we'll say that. Why would putting a rune on an item it does nothing for be an option? Right, that's what I'm like. Because some of these do need a specific thing of like item, a weapon. Because, and you guys will see a preview. Here's, if you guys have like kind of wondered what its playstyle is going to be, Runekeeper is going to be a gish. Like it's got to be a gish. Kind of around like Ranger, Paladin in a way kind of vibes. It's going to be a gish that leans in closer to like what it's. If Paladin is the gish, the more strict gish for Cleric in a way. Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be the intelligence complement to Warlock. So, where is it? Yes. Here's how you gish. Here's how specifically Primordial is going to gish. A camel is a horse designed by a committee. Yes. I have a vision of it, but I'm still valuing the feedback. So, here's the way that this class is going to gish, okay? It's like, if you go Primordial, it's not the fact of the magic becomes a magic weapon or whatever. Technically, this is going to be able to do that. Because you are literally changing the essence of... Runekeepers are able to literally bend the laws of physics here, okay? So, if you inscribe this word Patu onto a weapon, you can use a bonus action and speak Patu to cause it to cover with erosive liquid. The weapon's damage changes to acid, and the weapon will eat through 1 inch thick non-magical wood or metal if it's placed upon it for 1 hour. Cat invoking time, a 1 bonus action. It deals an additional 1d6 of acid damage to any target it hits. If this hits a creature, it uses a bonus action. Anyways, you can cause the effect to end early, right? So, this is honestly like actually a little bit weaker than the Blood Hunter right now. Blood Hunter is able to do their right, and it deals 1d4 additional damage, but that additional damage lasts until you finish a short or long rest. This is, it lasts for 1 minute, right? An invoked effect, bam. And then you can do it again later on, right? Sure, Blood Hunter is also sacrificing their max hit points and all that other stuff. Whatever. Yeah. This is, you are literally turning the weapon into an acid blade. Like, oh, I love that. I love that idea. The actual damage changes to acid. It's not, it deals piercing damage and then a little, like, spice on top, right? So this way, this will overcome kind of the hurdle that we see a lot of, like, 5th, 6th, 7th level players hit. And that's that their damage type, their martial damage isn't really overcoming magical immunities, right? Immune except for non-magic, or immune to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. Here's how you can get across, or here's how you can avoid that, right? Now I'm getting the versatility of a wizard in my weapon. And I think that that's really cool, right? Like, the weapon itself is switching to do acid damage, not bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Which I don't think we have a mechanic for in the game. Except maybe elemental weapon? And I actually think elemental weapon is just, it does additional damage. Just becomes a magic weapon. Yeah, and it deals additional damage of the chosen damage type. Shouldn't it be bigger? Probably. Yeah. needs to go here. Might take it a second because it's got to change it for the whole document. Let's say 350. 350. That's still not quite right. 450. Oh, I remember why it needed to be smaller. Because there's words like Parenga and that's going to get in the way. Let's see, 400. 400? Let's try that, and let's shift that baseline down a little bit more. So at least, if it's not perfect, it'll be at least in the middle. Boom. Does it have a way to disable it? It needs to. Yeah, it needs to just have a... I thought I wrote that, where you can disable it as a bonus action. Or until the weapon is sheathed. Ah. That's how it needs to work. Yeah. Boom. Are you as a partner? Yeah, are you in the Discord? Is the top part supposed to be a passive effect, or are you invoking... No, it's a passive effect. That is a passive effect. That needs to be reliable. Because if you're investing a rune known into that, then you are... you're in the Discord as Dr. Doom. Oh, you're Patreon. Okay. Wait, did I... Boom. Welcome to the baseball team. Fleshquake Barb. And it's been... I've had a couple days of teaching. I think I remember... Were you the one? Was it the Cthulhu based barb? The negative to AC has been a thing in previous editions. I think it's a thing in this edition. Non-magical wood or metal. Okay. Okay, so that was you. I think we talked about it for a second. Yeah. I am so happy with how, like, busy the Discord server's been. Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember, okay, yeah, because this had the issue of it. Alright, yeah. Rust Monster comes up. Oh, it was good having you, Robot. Thanks for popping in. It does come up with the Rust Monster. Have we not had like an acid elemental? I felt like that was a thing in I mean there's other stuff that does this, right? Doesn't the gelatinous cube? Any armor that's in it or something like that? No, what? I thought that this was a thing that the gelatinous cube did, or is it like the ochre jelly? Black pudding. Okay, I'll check that one out. Man, this is such a fun monster. Like, the thing with the gelatinous cube, though, is like, I think the reason why WotC hasn't really written a whole lot of oozes, is because I think it's been pretty clear how easy oozes are to shut down. Okay, yeah, I'll check out the black pudding. Like, you remember, I've talked on the channel in the past about, like, how I think Ray of Frost is probably going to be, like, the sleeper cantrip of 5e, because of just how insane that thing is. Because of specifically, if you look at the gelatinous cube, whose whole shtick is, it's really terrifying whenever I run into you and you get stuck in me. Hit this thing with Ray of Frost. It's not going anywhere. 5 feet per round? Psh. Like, that is such hard shutdown. I'm sure you can do it with Lance of Lethargy, Eldritch Blast, but, like, does anyone really go Lance of Lethargy? Black pudding. Actually, you know who does go Lance of Lethargy? Fathomless. It is that good to go Lance of Lethargy Fathomless. A Summoner Ooze. In 1 round. Wow. Gargantuan-sized gelatinous cube that acted as a sewer cleaner under a major city and how the players think through the sewers. It's a fun one. Like, I love running oozes. Okay. I kind of wonder if people are going to look at that rune and just think, yeah, this is the way I'm going to break down doors now. Which, I guess, whatever, sure. Okay. Permanent and negative. Okay. Alright, so I need to probably copy that and take that over and figure out how to format that for this one. But you guys gonna see how the Runekeeper is gonna gish. Man, I was really planning on going for a while tonight, probably until 9 o'clock, except for the fact of my throat. You know, I'm sure you guys have heard me, like, kind of coughing and stuff. My throat's actually feeling pretty painful right now. I think I'm probably going to wrap here, but I want to stream more, probably later on this weekend if I'm feeling up to it. But yeah, I don't want to be hacking crap up on stream and all that. So I think I may actually wrap it here and get some honey and stuff. But yes, I do want to I do want to stream a bit more because it's been helping me to get, like, stay productive on this thing. Mini, thank you so much for the $9.99. Mentioned a few streams that the Game Guild takes a pretty abhorrent cut. Aw, hey, thank you so much. You rock so much. Thank you. What was I saying? Yeah. I'm gonna go get food and kind of nurse this. Make sure I'm not actually coming down with something. So, you guys, thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. Be looking forward to more later. I'm very hopeful that I'm going to be able to stream later on this weekend. You know, hey, start of the semester, kids are bringing all kinds of bugs in. I'm sure I'm okay. But anyways, thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. Let me get camera. Yay! Thank you all for hanging out with me. I am gonna grab a bite to eat. Kind of nurse this throat. It's cold here as well. Anyways, guys. Woo! Hope you all have a good night. Hope you all are staying safe, staying healthy. I'll see you all in the next one, alright?